Welcome to another episode of Parenting Teens with Dr. Cam. I'm your host, Dr. Cam, and today I'm talking with college admissions expert, Dr. Gena Lester. And Dr. Gena is the author of College Admissions Secrets, an international bestseller in 6 categories in 5 countries. She's also the founder of Education Prep Centers, which has clients throughout the U.S. and the globe. And as a mom, she helped her 3 children secure college scholarship offers totaling over 1.5 million combined. So I am personally very happy to have you here. Welcome, Dr. Gena. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you. I'm very excited to be here and share with your audience today.
Oh, I know my audience is eager to hear what you have to say. So first, tell us what inspired you to get into college admissions?
Yeah, I actually have been in the education space for over 25 years plus. I have started private schools from the ground up. I worked in the public school sector. I've worked with homeschoolers in the private. So I've kind of, been through the gamut. But my husband became terminally ill. Um, and when he was 35, actually, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And things went along fine for a while. But then as my children began to hit that college age, especially my younger one, as she was in high school, it became pretty apparent that I needed to come home and take care of him and be there for the end of his life. And so as I kind of stepped out of the world that I was in, I knew I needed to be doing something or I would just dry up, being a full time caregiver. And so I had people come out and ask me, hey, you've got your kids in college, you've got another one in high school, you're doing this. Can you help us? And so my business was kind of born out of that. And everybody always is like, oh, I'm so sorry. But unfortunately, he did pass away. But I am now remarried to an amazing a man who was also a widower. So it's always great to find love that second time. And my business has just taken off from there. And I would not go back. I love working with the kids and really seeing them find their next steps.
Yeah, I know you do a lot and you have your own proprietary process, right, to help teens figure out the best path for them. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yes. So before COVID, I was using, it's really interesting because prior to COVID, I had really gone online with my business. I see kids all over the United States from the East Coast to the West Coast. And I was using a system called Uniquely You. And basically, when you're going to college, it's important your grades and all of those things, your academics are definitely a huge part of that process. But once you get past that gate of where the academics are, colleges really want to know who the student is. They want to know, are they a fit for their university? And what makes them a student that's going to be successful on their campus versus another student. And so Uniquely You really helps the students be able to tell their story, stand out, and show who they are to a college admissions counselor who literally spends like 7 minutes looking over their application versus another student. And of course, now coming into COVID and all of the crazy changes we've seen in college admissions process, this has like definitely increased. It's an even larger piece of the process than it
Mm.
was before.
So, Dr. Gena, this gets me to like a big question that I hear all the time. And it's kind of 2 pieces. One is grades, particularly now, people are freaked out because grades are plummeting.
Mhm.
And, we're having to choose between grades and mental health. And that's not always it seems like it'd be an obvious choice, but it's not because so many parents are concerned about getting into college, right? The
Mhm.
other one is I see a lot of resume building that starts even in like elementary school, right? And we start this whole process of making sure, because we see school and getting into the right colleges as so competitive, that we feel the need. And I talk to teens also that feel the need to just do everything because they don't know what they're going to be looking for, and they don't want to have that be missing that one thing. And so they're running themselves ragged trying to get the right grades, trying to make sure their resume is built so they can get into college. Can you help clarify how important each of these are and help us find a healthy balance of
Yes.
this, please?
I can. Um, so definitely I want to say that there is a college out there for every student. So, we definitely have colleges that are highly competitive and everything in between. There are many, many schools that are actual really amazing gems that may not be that, Princeton or Harvard or University of Penn, something along those lines. And your student can get an education that is going to just be amazing and potentially have a better chance or better opportunities there. So there are pros and cons in really thinking through which schools you're going to choose and why you're choosing them. But I definitely would say I'm very strong on the mental health piece. I work with kids all the time. I've had students sit in just in tears, talk through what their emotions are, what they're feeling, and so forth. So I really encourage families to make sure that you're taking care of that first, regardless. Colleges know that this has been a difficult time, and
Mhm.
they realize that some students have done great and thrived online, and others haven't. Some kids have struggled academically, and so there is a COVID essay on the applications that's not going to go away for the next few years. So even if you have a student that's a freshman, you can take that opportunity and really talk about what you've learned, how, being online maybe had a negative effect, but how you've been able to adjust, and bring that into a positive light. So it don't feel like that because they've had a grade lower or they've struggled in some areas that means it's the end and that a good college is not in their future, because that's as far from the truth as really you can imagine. So it's really about how you tell your stories, how you really show yourself, and what you've learned. And that's really a big part of what they're looking for and what you did during COVID. And which brings me into the activity section. I think that's a big thing during COVID. I would say that they really do want to see that you didn't just sit home and do nothing. So think outside the box of things that you can do to build your resume, whether it's learning something and just on your own, doing your own research, doing, an online class that's not required. It doesn't have to be for a grade. It can be something for fun or getting some kind of, learning and doing something new or creative, or learning guitar if that's something you're passionate about. As far as activities and things to that effect, definitely they're looking for leadership. They're looking for the fact that you're volunteering and that you're giving and that you are being involved and you know how to participate as a team member. But it's not about being involved in 4,000 activities. It's really about going deep. They would
Mm.
rather see you if you have a passion for computers, then maybe you spent that time creating an app or some kind of game online. It can be so basic. It doesn't have to be this, oh, brand new, top notch gaming system that you've created. Obviously you're in high school, so they want to see that you took your passion, whatever that is, that you, and I always say, do, donate, and demonstrate. So did you do the activity? Did you donate? Meaning, did you find a way to give back into a community doing that activity? And demonstrate, did you go in and find ways to tie that into your major, or to potentially show leadership, or whatever that might look like? So it's really about building that well-rounded resume that's tied back to your uniquely you and what makes you stand out.
So one thing I've heard from, I've heard a ton, but one thing that kind of stands out for me too, it's not having a trillion skills and having this long list of all this stuff. It's actually developing the ability, like leadership, and developing these traits and these actual like it's not skills in terms of being able to do all these different activities. It's skills in terms of what you're able, kind of your soft skills, so to
Exactly.
speak, is developing those, which there's so many ways to develop it without having to be running around everywhere. And the other thing I'm hearing too, you're saying find your passion. And I think this is one thing that I know a lot of parents struggle with, because their teens' passion, a lot of them, I've heard this a lot, including my own teen daughter, their passions seem unrealistic often, right? And they seem very big, dreamy. And I see people that want to be a YouTube star, want to be, make money being a gamer, or, like my daughter wants to be a Broadway star, which these are all beautiful things. They're very competitive. And from a generation that comes from like, you get your finance career done because that's secure, you get your computer science that you're going to find a job in, and that's going to be steady. How do we address passions when they don't fall in what we believe are practical paths?
Yes. And I can speak to that completely because I do have a daughter who is a Broadway star. So,
What? Okay, my daughter's talking to your daughter.
yeah,
Please.
she's not been quite on Broadway yet, but she definitely has that dream and that, where she's gone. So we do see a lot of kids that want to go out, and I think the whole new online world, whether it's in the arts, whether it's in computers, whether it's entrepreneurship, all of those things feel unpractical to us as adults. But the reality is that if that's where their passion is, they're going to be able to find a way to support that. And it's really all about helping your student think through a plan. So for my daughter, one of the big things is she went through the competitive audition spot, and she got lots of money from a lot of different colleges, got into some of those top musical theater programs. And really, when we came down to it, we decided to go, and she decided, that she wanted to go to a school that gave her the most money, because coming out without debt was huge, because then you can start your career. So a lot of times they think, oh, I've got to be at a Carnegie Mellon, but that's not true. If they are getting a full ride from somebody else, they really can make their way through this process. The other thing is to really, right now, our kids have so many opportunities to do some dual credit, to take those AP classes, and that translates into college credit for them. They can also take some classes at the community college in the summers between their freshman and sophomore year in college. So I encourage students to do that, to get some of those classes that they just need to get off, that's part of their core curriculum, done. Therefore, it opens up their schedule so that they can go in and take some business classes. They can take some classes that maybe they're really interested in. And it's really not about them coming out with a minor or a second major. A lot of kids do. A lot of arts kids come out with double majors just because of the way they are able to work their schedules. But then they're able to go out and actually, have a career while they're actually, doing their passion. So for instance, my daughter, she is an executive assistant, and she does social media marketing. Like, she works for people like you and myself, and she does all of their Facebook ads and all of that kind of stuff. So she's learned, so she makes a lucrative income that
Wow.
gives her flexibility, and yet she can actually go out and perform and do her Broadway, and her she's actually in LA right now, but she does lots of professional theater and film, and she's a writer. And so she's been able to take and really use her skills, and she's passionate and get to do all the things she loves while supporting herself. So I think it's really think outside the box, like, okay, if this is really their passion, then how can they, what are the things that you can do to help them set up for success so that they can pursue their dreams and have that income, so that they're not sleeping on everyone's couch, and all are coming back and living in our basement, and all those fears that we have as parents. And I think
Yeah.
that the times have changed, and there are just so many more opportunities for our young students. So, as hard as it is, I, really say let them explore, but, have that practical conversation at the same time with them.
Yeah, I'm smiling ear to ear because I agree with you so much on this one. And I know a lot of people really struggle with that. And it's
Mhm.
from the right place. It's wanting to set our kids up for success. And we have so much fear of them making bad choices. But there's no way we know the right choice. Like it's just as easy for us to make a bad choice for them, right?
Yeah.
And push them in a direction that they don't want to go, which, kind of slows down their process of being able to find what they love. So I love that so much. So I
Yeah.
know another question real quick, because I know we have so much, and I want to throw in here too, that you are coming back
Mhm.
to talk for a full hour with me on the Power Hour on May 4th.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have a link in there for people, if they're not registered, to register. It's free. And you're going to be in there talking about all this. So it's going to be, we can bring questions and dig in. I know this is a huge topic. So one last question. I know a lot of parents are stressed out about basically this year is a wash, or their kids going into college and wanting to take a year off. So that
Mhm.
kind of is a wash. So what do we do if our kids want to just take a break? How do schools look at this gap? Whether it be, okay, you just had a full year of school that you did nothing because you got like F's and it was a wash, or you decided to take a full break between school and going to college.
Yeah. So there are definitely, gap years and students deferring a year, has been something that occurs and has been going on for a long time. Of course, we see a larger number of students doing that right now. So there are positives about taking that year. Your student can mature, can grow, all of those things. The big thing that colleges are really looking for is to see that if your student is going to take that year, what are they going to do? They don't want them just sitting home playing video games on your couch or working at the local fast food restaurant.
Right.
While all of that's great, they can earn some extra money and that's them, kind of relaxing. It gets them into, some bad habits. So if you're going to take that year, definitely give them a chance to rest, but also make sure that you've got a really good plan in place.
Mm.
Whether that's allowing them to go take some kind of program that's not based on grades or credits or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Whether it's traveling, doing some kind of abroad experience. If you're financially, I know people are in all different places. So if you're like, well, that's just not in our budget to do that, then find a place that they can actually do an internship, or that they can do some research projects, or a place that they can really go and pour their hearts in volunteering.
Mm.
So there are things that you can do on all levels from a financial opportunities. So look at where you're at, what your affordability is, and then find a plan. So
Mhm.
don't just take a year and think, oh, we're just going to sit home and do nothing. And
Right.
that's the whole thing. Even with COVID, they want to see what is your student doing right now in this time where they're stuck at home, and have they been able to go out and still create opportunities, those type of things. Like I had a student that decided to go on his Nextdoor app and just put out, hey, if you're elderly and you can't get to the grocery store, you're not comfortable, I'll go pick up your groceries. And he delivered groceries to the elderly families in his neighborhood. And so, that was something outside the box. So that's what they're looking for, is things to that effect. Like what can you do that's going to make that experience important? There are definitely pros and cons to a gap year. You want to make sure you're staying a freshman so you don't lose that scholarship,
Mm.
those merit scholarships that are specifically for freshmen. You still need to apply, get accepted, and then talk to the school about that gap year and taking that, or deferring a
Okay.
year, and find out what they expect, because they'll tell you, yes, you can do this, but these are the things you need to have in place. So you don't want your student to miss that opportunity to be at that perfect university, because you think, oh, we don't need to worry about this. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, you needed to have all of these things in place.
Yeah. So don't panic and over feel like you need so many different things,
Nope.
but just plan, just ask, right? And just make sure those few things are in place. And I think with the teens and filling that time, because I'm hearing voices in my head of voices in my head, I sound crazy. I hear like clients, right, that have said, and I've heard so many that are worried because this has been kind of a lackluster year for a lot of kids and they haven't really done a whole lot. So I'm hearing, sensing parents going, oh my God, this whole year went by and they didn't really do anything but play video games. Well, I think part of what you're saying is, what did they even learn from the video games? Like, what did, if they were on YouTube, did they do a YouTube channel? Did they do things like this? Like things that we may not prioritize or put as important may actually be teaching them something that they can then apply. So what did they do and what did they learn from that?
Yeah, and then if you feel like, okay, my student really did, it was just a wash year, we really did absolutely nothing, then it's not too late. Think about, okay, what can they do now and how can they contrast that? Well, this was a year. Yeah, I felt depressed. It was, I didn't have motivation. There was nothing to do. I just didn't, I just laid on the couch and ate Cheetos. So, okay, that's what we did. But now, as we come out of that, I'm ready to step in, and I learned from that experience that that's not the lifestyle I want. This is what I want. So you don't have to feel like, if that was your student, your teen's the one that laid on the couch and ate Cheetos and played on social media or video games, then okay, that don't feel like it's the end of the world. Just begin to make that shift with them and help them move into that next phase so that they can contrast that.
Great, very helpful. So Dr. Gena, how can people find you if they have more questions or want to work with you?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website is Education Prep Center, so they can go there for sure. And also, I am on social media. I'm on Facebook too. And right now, I am holding a challenge, which basically a 5-day challenge, and it started yesterday, so it's not too late. If you're hearing this and you're like, oh, I really want to learn all about the college process and all the changes that have happened during COVID.
Mm.
You can go to my Facebook is Education Prep Centers, as well, my page, or you can search Crush College Admissions and it'll come up.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, and you can join that. It's free, and you'll get a lot of great information. So I would love to
Fantastic.
attend.
Good. I will provide all those links so people can find you and check out your challenge. That sounds phenomenal. I'm sure there's people that are really excited about that and want to do that. So any parting words of wisdom or encouragement for parents with teenagers?
Yeah, I would just say, it's okay. Just take a deep breath and know that ultimately your student is going to find the right college. They will move beyond this. It's been a tough year for everybody. And don't beat yourself up or, feel frustrated with them. Just know that we're turning a corner, and things will begin to open back up, and you'll be able to get back to a lot of those things that they were doing before.
Very, very wise words. Thank you so much, Dr. Gena, for joining us. I'm very grateful that you are here today and helping us clarify a lot of these concerns that I know a lot of us have about school and getting into college. And I want to thank you, parents, for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us. If you want to learn more about how to connect with your teen and calm the drama, be sure to join me on Tuesday evenings for the Parenting Teens Power Hour. I have a bunch of amazing experts lined up to share their best tips and secrets with you, including Dr. Gena, who's going to be on May 4th. And it's all free. You can register at askdrcam.com bestselling.com/power hour. I'll put the link in the show notes. Also, if you enjoyed this episode and all the amazing nuggets that Dr. Gena shared with us, please take a quick moment to rate and review. This helps other parents like you find the show. Feel free to share it with a friend as well. Have a peaceful, positive, calm day.